From frogs, fish and spiders to birds, cows and sharks. Here are 15 animals that fell to Earth. Raining fish. In the Indian city of Mumbai, there were reports of fish dropping from the skies in 2016 during the monsoon season. Locals claimed they found fish flopping about in their backyards and on the roads. Such incidents had been reported in the years prior, and the stories check out, sort of. These types of events have been reported in many locations around the world over the centuries. The most recent account of fish rain we could find happened in 2017 in Sri Lanka. Yearly rain of fish. While fish rain is a rare occurrence, there is a place in the Honduras where it's said to be a yearly phenomenon. In the capital city of Yoro, an annual festival takes place during the first major rainfall in either May or June. Fish appear to fall from the sky, although exactly why this occurs is unknown. Some theories include waterspouts forming in the Atlantic Ocean, transporting the fish ashore, or heavy rainfalls might cause fish dwelling underground waters to wash them on land and leave them stranded there. Raining meat. This meteorological phenomenon was recorded in Kentucky in 1876 when pieces of raw meat fell from the sky. The largest pieces measured about 4 inches, 10 centimeters, and resembled beef. Taste testers later claimed that it was more likely deer or lamb meat. Others claimed it was bear meat or even a type of gelatinous bacteria, but laboratory analysis identified it as lung tissue that once belonged to either a human or a horse. That has been accepted as the most reasonable explanation regarding the meat itself. As for how it fell out of the sky, that's still being debated. Tell us your theory in the comments below. More meat fall. 1876 wasn't the only year that a meat-related precipitation event was documented. In 2012, a young woman in Virginia was in the midst of a horseback riding lesson when a hunk of raw meat fell from the sky and onto her helmet. While that helmet wasn't designed for deflecting meat, it protected the rider from a slab of chicken meat that measured about 12 inches. 30 centimeters. That was the smallest of 3 or more chunks that rained down. The spokesperson for the nearby Tyson Foods processing plant denied any knowledge or responsibility for the flying pieces of poultry. While its exact origin is unknown, most experts agreed that high-flying seagulls probably played a role in the mysterious rain of meat. Those birds are known to scavenge and carry chicken parts, which will occasionally drop while flying. Falling frogs. These amphibians are among the animals most often reported to fall from the sky. One of the earliest reports ever documented about the phenomenon dates to 77 AD. Those events have continued into the 21st century. More recently, frogs have showered down on central Hungary in 2010 and in eastern Uruguay a year later. In both cases, the frog rain occurred twice in their respective years. The most common theory suggests that strong winds carry the amphibians high in the sky from where they fall to Earth, not unlike rain. That theory applies to several animals on the list, but such an event has never been eyewitnessed by scientists. Amazing spider rain. The occurrence of so-called spider rain has been reported in several areas around the world, and that includes Australia, where it can appear like millions of tiny arachnids are falling from the sky. Some spider species in Oz will use their woven webs to glide through the air. Those web strands look like vapor trails drifting down to cover the area. The gossamer strands, or angel hair, have been known to cover areas of 40 kilometers, 25 miles across. An early documented occurrence of the phenomenon happened in 1974 in New South Wales. Witnesses said the webs were heavy enough to look like snowdrifts blanketing the fields of the southern tableland region. We found that the last reported incident of spider rain in Oz occurred around 2015. Spider rain has also occurred in Brazil during hot, humid conditions. In those cases, there are so many spiders that it looks like the skies are filled with countless black dots. The BB blackbirds. It's more typical for birds to fly in the sky than to fall from the sky, but at the beginning of 2011, the residents of BB, Arkansas woke up to a strange sight to welcome the new year. During the night, around 5,000 blackbirds rained down from the sky. They covered a 1-mile, 1.6 kilometer area on the ground where they lay dead or dying. The bizarre event made international news, but a cause for the incident wasn't immediately identified. Plenty of rumors flew as people speculated whether the birds' behavior was triggered by viruses or chemicals. Wildlife experts eventually found that the blackbirds were done in by blunt force trauma. It is believed they were spooked by the New Year's fireworks set off near the woods they inhabited. That panicked them into flying erratically, and they smashed into objects including houses, cars, and other trees. A cowtail. The idea of a cow literally falling from the sky sounds like something from a Monty Python skit, but such an event really occurred in 2007. A couple was driving down Washington State's Manson Highway. They were celebrating their first-year wedding anniversary, so the last thing they expected was a bovine beast falling from the clear skies above. Yet a living 600-pound, 272-kilogram cow did indeed plummet and crash onto the roof of their minivan. Aside from the sheer shock, the couple was uninjured, but they avoided being killed by mere inches. After calling the authorities, the animal was later euthanized. It was later theorized that the year-old cow probably wandered away from its herd and fell from a 200-foot, 61-meter cliff located close to the highway. Worm rain. These creatures have been documented to rain down on several locations around the world. Here are a couple of cases we highlighted. In 2015, witnesses in Norway reported seeing large numbers of earthworms falling from the sky and landing in the snow. The possibility that they wriggled up from the ground was discounted because the snow measured more than 3 feet, 1 meter in some areas. The phenomenon was also reported in Scotland in 2011 and in the US in 2007. During that event, globs of worms appeared in areas of Jennings, Louisiana. Many of these worm-related events are linked to tornadoes or waterspouts that pick up the invertebrates and cause them to rain down. Another cowtail. Since we just had a cow story, here's a follow-up from 2017. A man in Calcutta, India, was shopping for vegetables at a roadside stall when he was struck by a heavy object and collapsed. He was transported to a hospital close by and treated for multiple injuries, including a fractured leg and broken ribs. Still, he was better off than the object that crashed into him. It turned out to be a 6-month-old calf that weighed about 187 pounds, 85 kilograms, and was killed on impact. The animal had fallen about 70 feet, 21 meters from the terrace of an apartment building located close to the roadside stall. But why was a cow being kept on a terrace anyway? Raining jellyfish. Among the rare phenomena of raining animals, this one is among the rarest. We found stories about such events occurring in England in 1894. Jellyfish were said to be falling like rain over the skies of Bath, but most sources that dispute claim that gelatinous drops were found that could not be identified as jellyfish or frog's eggs. Some of these drops apparently formed into a worm-like chrysalis that measured about 1 inch long, 2.5 centimeters. That sounds similar to an event from the 20th century, which we'll talk about next. Star jellyfish. In 1994, residents of a village in Washington State reported some areas of Oakville being covered with small drops of a sticky, gelatinous substance that fell from the sky. Soon after touching the material, some residents were taken to hospital with severe stomach cramps. When the goo was examined, technicians found it contained white blood cells and probably belonged to a living organism. Could it have been a jellyfish? That theory is linked to the Air Force, which was conducting a bombing run over the Pacific Ocean, about 15 miles, 24 kilometers off the state coast. The residents thought the jellyfish could have blown into the clouds and later rained down in bits and pieces. Does that theory hold water? Reign of humans. Fish and 4-footed creatures aren't the only animals documented to fall from the sky. Several instances of humans raining down have been reported as well. One of the most recent such events happened in 2019 in South London. A man was sunbathing in his garden when a human body plummeted from the sky and landed only 3 feet away, 1 meter. The body was male, fully clothed, and was fully intact. Police think the unidentified man was a stowaway aboard an airplane that was passing over the area at a height of about 3,500 feet, or just over 1,000 meters. The plane was preparing to land at Heathrow Airport, so he probably fell from the landing gear during the descent. England is no stranger to these types of events. In 2015, a man's body fell from the sky in Richmond, and in 2012, the mangled body of a man was discovered on a sidewalk of South London. It was later established that the man had fallen from an airplane headed toward Heathrow. Extreme altitudes. Speaking of humans falling from the sky, here's a brief FYI. Did you know that the Guinness record for surviving the highest fall without a parachute is more than 6.3 miles? That's over 10,000 meters. It was set by a Serbian flight attendant in 1972 when a briefcase bomb exploded on her flight en route from Stockholm to Belgrade. Vesna Vulovic was the sole survivor, and she later became a national hero in Yugoslavia. Number 1. A living shark. In 2012, a live shark fell from the sky and landed on the 12th tee of the San Juan Hills Golf Club in California. A group of golfers just departed the tee not long before the fish landed. A golf course employee later found it while it was thrashing and wriggling. The animal was identified as a leopard shark that measured about 2 feet, 61 centimeters. After being placed in a container of fresh water, it survived long enough to be driven to the Pacific Ocean, about 5 miles, 8 kilometers from the club. Once there, employees released it into the water where it swam off. Experts think the shark may have been plucked out of the ocean by an osprey or falcon that dropped it while flying over the golf course. At a mere 2 feet, this little beast doesn't qualify as a real-life Sharknado. But after being grabbed by a bird and surviving a steep fall and near asphyxiation, maybe it should have gotten a movie deal.